The Granby Land Trust's Godard Preserve is located at 35 Donahue Road in North Granby. Parking for the preserve can be found at this address utilizing a pull-off, allowing a few vehicles to park along Donahue Road. The Godard Preserve is conveniently located adjacent to the Granby Land Trust's Mary Edwards Mountain property, whose trail can be accessed across the street from the parking area for the Godard Preserve. This allows for a large expanse of over 300 acres of continuous forest land that is protected by the Granby Land Trust. The forests in this area are a mixture of hardwoods and conifers, with brooks flowing through the valleys, offering valuable habitat for a variety of plants and animals to call this area home. The Godard Preserve has 3 such small brooks, making this preserve especially peaceful and relaxing to visit. This land, before it was given to the Granby Land Trust, had been in the Godard family since colonial times. For generations, the land was used to sustain the Godard family, including selling timber from the land to fund the education at Wesleyan and Yale of George Seymour Goddard. George was a significant figure in our state's history. At age 24, while still an undergrad, he supervised the building and construction of North Granby's Frederick H. Cossett Library. He then went on to serve as Connecticut State Librarian and the director of the Connecticut State Library from 1900 to 1936. As such, he oversaw the construction of the State Library and Supreme Court building in Hartford. In 1997, 350 years after the Goddards first acquired the property, Alice Hills Goddard generously donated 108 acres of the land to the Granby Land Trust to honor her late husband, Paul Beach Goddard. Alice also created an endowment to establish trails on the property and to care for the land. The remaining 10 acres of the Godard Preserve were later donated by Barbara Goddard and Sally Goddard Riga, Paul and Alice's daughters, to complete the Godard Preserve as it is today. Thanks to the vision and generosity of the Goddard family, this land will be protected forever and cared for by the Granby Land Trust, and available for you and your family to enjoy. A memorial rock is located at the entrance of the preserve, commemorating the donation of this land from the Goddard family. The Goddard Preserve's featured trail begins at the parking lot as you head a short distance into the forest toward the trailhead kiosk. The kiosk provides information about the property and the Goddard family and also includes a trail map. The featured trail begins by following the Blue Blaze in the southwest corner of the property, crossing the first brook, and following along the southern edge of the property. As the trail crosses another brook and meets up with the orange, blue, and orange trails, remain straight to follow the orange trail northward along the eastern edge of the property. Follow the orange trail, crossing a second man-made bridge and hiking beyond the green trail. As you approach a split in the orange trail, keep left to follow the orange trail southwest toward the blue and orange trail. Take the Blue Blaze Trail back along the brook and eventually across the first bridge that leads you back to the kiosk and the parking lot. In total, the featured trail is approximately 1.6 miles long and offers beautiful features during all seasons. The hiking in this preserve can be extended by taking the orange-blue trail as well as the green trail, or by hiking into the Mary Edwards Mountain property to the west, following the blue trailhead across Donahue Road. The lower, second entrance of the Godard Preserve is located further north on Donahue Road, along the north edge of the property, and is mainly a walk-in entrance as there is no vehicle parking located at this entrance. The trail descends into the forest that is made up of mostly hardwood tree species in the area. The brushy understory is made up of striped maples and mountain laurel, which offer great nesting habitat for a variety of bird species, such as the black-throated blue warbler. Their calls can often be heard throughout the summer months. The Godard Preserve features 3 brooks running through the property, and the first is crossed via a footbridge in the early portions of the trail. These brooks offer a valuable source of water. They are used by many plants and animals that live in the forests, and the banks of the brook are often lined with moss-covered rocks and a variety of ferns and shrubs. The blue trail splits soon after crossing the bridge. Keep right to head uphill into the denser portion of the forest. In this area, many birches and maples grow with more dense thickets of mountain laurel surrounding the trail. Hemlocks and white pines also join in the canopy as you continue uphill. The trail levels out, and you can often find remnants of tree trunks that have previously been cut, reminding us of the history of this land and its use over the years by the Godard family. As you hike through the forest, be sure to keep your eyes out for signs of wildlife. Tree trunks can hold interesting clues to the wildlife that call this forest home, and can reveal marks left by black bears like these on this tree trunk. Black bears are expert climbers and will climb trees to escape threats and also to get food in the trees. Another animal that spends a lot of time in trees are porcupines. Porcupines are the second largest rodent in North America, and they have roughly 30,000 quills covering their bodies. Porcupines climb trees to flee predators and to find food. Leaves, bark, and berries, and new growth in the tops of trees are their favorite foods. Continue along the Blue Trail, where you will cross some areas that get wet in the fall. The trail will take you past large tulip poplars with their long, straight trunks. In the fall months, the forest takes on a yellow hue as the sun shines through the changing leaves above. The trail weaves through a diverse area of birches, beech, maple, oak, poplar, and hemlock trees, and eventually you cross a small brook that is easily crossed using the provided rocks as stepping stones. Follow this small brook as it cuts a small valley through the forest and eventually spills into a larger brook at the intersection with the orange and blue and orange trail. Cross this brook and head on to the orange trail. The wet sections in this forest make a great habitat for a variety of plant species, such as rattlesnake plantain, which are part of the orchid family, and berry bushes like maple leaf viburnums. The wet forest also creates a diverse area for a variety of bird species, including various woodpeckers, which call these woodlands home. Yellow-bellied sapsucker whales in the trees are a common sight, and the birds can be heard and seen throughout the forest. Hiking along the orange trail, you will notice that the hemlocks that were previously in the understory are no longer present. The understory has been replaced with deciduous plants of witch hazel and other small shrubs. Do not be deceived by the small stature of many trees along this trail. Height and diameter are only parts of the indicators for the age of the trees here. Taking a look at the barks of the trees, particularly the tulip poplars and oaks in the area, which have deep grooved bark, you will notice that the bark changes as you start at the base of the tree and work up. A few feet off the ground, the bark changes from a smoother and less coarse bark to the typical bark of the species. This is called second bark and occurs as the trees age, indicating that some of the trees in the area are older than they appear. Continuing along the orange trail, chestnut oaks become common in this area and join the other large oaks and tulip poplars. Many of the paper birches that grew when the forest developed have now fallen to the ground or are standing dead trees. This area proves to be a good spot to find the largest woodpecker in the northeast, the pileated woodpecker. These woodpeckers rely on large trees and intact forests that have an abundance of dead wood to provide enough food and shelter. If you're lucky, you may find one foraging low on the ground, looking for insects in a decaying log. Continue downhill on the orange trail as the trail eventually leads to yet another forest brook. A small stone wall through the trees on the right marks the property boundaries of the preserve. There is a small clearing in the forest in this area which allows enough light for tree saplings to grow in the understory, predominantly young sassafras trees. Continue downhill to reach the brook with a bridge built for easy crossing. Take a minute to enjoy the sounds of flowing water in this secluded area. The featured trail goes straight across the brook, passing the Green Blaze Trail on your left, and continues on the Orange Blaze Trail. At the next fork, turn left to stay on the Orange Blaze Loop. Continuing straight will take you to another brook crossing and eventually to the second entrance of the preserve on the north end of the property. While this entrance doesn't have any parking, it is still a nice short trail for a down and back hike from this point. Continuing on the Orange Trail will take you uphill and past a large glacial erratic that is hidden in the woods between the orange and green trails. This large boulder was dropped here by a glacier that carved up the landscape. This section of the Orange Trail features dense pockets of hemlocks growing, making it a great location to find a variety of songbirds, foraging among the small needles of the hemlock trees. These dense groves are a favorite among black-capped chickadees and golden-crowned kinglets in the winter. Small clumps of mountain laurel also grow along the understory of the forest, covering up the moss-covered rocks that litter the forest floor. These dense clumps of mountain laurel are good spots to sit and see if you can locate one of the smallest birds in the forest, the winter wren. These tiny birds hide out and forage among these dense shrubs and are often heard before they are seen. As you reach the top of the hill, turn right to head back onto the Blue Blaze Trail to continue your hike. You may turn left to take a nice hike through the Blue and Orange Trail if you wish to extend your hike. Either way, a short trek to the left will reveal a nice scene and view of the brook that is crossed farther back along the trail. The Blue Trail remains relatively flat, however the forest inclines to your left and drops off slightly to the right into a wet section of the forest. This proves to be a really good spot for bird watching, as the wet area attracts an assortment of species in this area. During fall migration specifically, this area can be a good spot for flocks of robins, kinglets, and warblers to be seen foraging for insects among the trees and forest floor. Reaching the crest in the hill, two new tree species can be seen in the forest: white pines with their larger needles and cones, and the functionally extinct American chestnut tree. As you begin the downward descent once again, the sounds of flowing water become clear once more, and as you head further along the trail, the forest opens up to reveal the brook. Cross over a wet section in the trail and remain straight onto the Blue Blaze Trail toward the brook. The Blue Trail follows the brook on the right and crosses over and follows an old stone wall on the left. Take your time hiking along the rocky banks of the brook and enjoy the relaxing sounds of this beautiful woodland waterway. The trail leads you back to where you begin, crossing the bridge and heading back uphill towards the kiosk and parking lot. Like all of Granby Land Trust's preserves, this property can be enjoyed during all 4 seasons. In the spring, the new green of the forest creates a feeling of growth and renewal. In June, the mountain laurel is in full bloom, and birds are nesting throughout the forests. Fall offers beautiful autumn colors, and winter offers another magical experience, especially after a snowfall. The Land Trust thanks the Godard family for their longtime stewardship of this land, and for their commitment to make this beautiful place open for all to enjoy forever. We thank you for your support of the Granby Land Trust, and hope you enjoy your visit to the Godard Preserve. As in the case when visiting any land trust property, please leave no trace.